wrapping it up in the Discord right now with Phallic about Cam Davis last week, who I unintentionally, but maybe intentionally, bounced Cam Davis from my lineup. And Kevin Phallic is the biggest. Well, he's a big part of our RPS community, but he's also the biggest Cam Davis fan ever with me. And here I am letting him down, and he has the best Sunday in the field. So,
yeah, Cam Davis not even on my radar last week. I had such a
explain last week.
Well, I'm kicking myself. It was a good week. I'll start there. The winning score prop of minus 23.5 was the worst.
Yes.
The worst thing I've ever seen from a sports book in quite some time. And we always murder those. That's like my biggest edge is the golf course breakdowns when we haven't seen the golf course. So we hit the minus 23.5 hard under, which saved my week. But then, I'm talking to all my buddies that are at the golf course and a bunch of people that are out the golf course. I wasn't in Colorado this week. And everyone's saying it's going to be birdie fest, birdie fest, birdie fest, birdie fest, birdie fest. And I kind of psyched myself out from all the people that were there saying it wasn't going to be a birdie fest, even though all of my course breakdowns led to it being anything but a birdie fest. So I stopped myself from putting even more on it. But I think the initial read that we talked about of like altitude's really going to screw these guys up proved to be correct. I mean, this was Scotty's worst performance of the season. Xander kind of pulled it together on Saturday, but he had one of his worst approach weeks of the season. Rory continued to look flummoxed all week.
I've never seen Scotty that mad publicly.
Totally. And I think it was because of, the added variable. We'll get to Scotty this week, but the added variable of the altitude really seemed to mess with these guys. I mean, we saw Wyndham Clark hit wedge shots into the water, all the, guys screwing up their distance control quite often. And I didn't get a chance. I had a golf event that I had to attend and play in Thursday, Friday, Saturday, but I watched pretty much all of Sunday because I was sweating Ludwig, who we need to have a conversation about his Sunday struggles, although he's still young. I don't want to.
That's what I said to someone who said, we should like bet $200K on Aubert to win. This was Saturday. I said, he doesn't really like Sundays.
It's not great. The guy had to shoot, and taking nothing away from Keegan Bradley or Adam Scott, but it's not like either. Keegan Bradley shot even par and won. Keegan Bradley's dying to give it away.
Oh my God, that par 5 on his approach shot. I was like, this is going to be fried egg right in the bunker. I was like, you lucky motherfucker. Because I put the house on Burns just to have the clubhouse lead and hold on to it.
Good bet. I mean, it came close. And
he still bogeyed it. He still bogeyed his 18th.
Yeah. Keegan. So, it could have been a generational wealth opportunity if I had just trusted my gut on the winning score. When a line is so bad that it makes you second guess, you're like, this line is so bad that I must be missing something. And it turned out that the line was just that bad.
The greens here. The issue was a lot, Hovland included, a lot of guys early couldn't find fairways, and the rough was decent enough that it caused problems on approach.
Yeah,
but the greens were so fast that even great putters like Chris Kirk were leaving, 16-foot putts 5 feet past, and that doesn't happen. I mean, plus the multiple tiers of the green, it was making Scotty have fits. The greens were just super tough.
Well, that's the thing we talked about.
Everyone seemed to have a 5-foot putt.
That was a big part of my breakdown. Was the guy who sets up Muirfield Village every year was the guy setting up this tournament, and Muirfield Village is one at 6 to 8 under every year.
Yes, and Jack likes to make it diabolical. The faster, the better.
Yeah. So anyway, hey, shout out to Rick. Welcome. If you're new, interesting week to start your DFS journey in the Tour Championship, but glad to have you. Golf DFS is one of my favorite pastimes.
Yeah, welcome, Rick. Hope you're in the Discord. If you're not, join it.
Mm-hmm.
It takes a little getting used to, but you'll find your rhythm.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, overall, it was a fade Scheffler week. Xander still, of course, was there.
Yeah.
Not completely dialed in, but anytime a Keegan Scott 1-2 sort of punch, it's been a tough week. I mean, it's been a real tough week.
Yeah.
Hovland couldn't find a fairway, I thought, all week at all. He could never just do it. I mean, he eagled the par 5, and I thought, okay, just go on a run, man. Just, but he couldn't find a rhythm.
Yeah. Yeah. I made too many crucial mistakes to have a really great week DFS. I broke even on the DFS slate, mainly because, you know, the 70% Ludwig was completely offset by the 40% Eric Cole, who finished nearly dead last.
Yes, right.
That was fun. I was really high on Justin Thomas as kind of a sneaky play.
Dead.
No, thank you on that one, buddy.
I think it was sort of irony that he and Homa were the final pairing on Sunday, because both are in the same point in their careers right now.
Yeah, totally.
Stars that are struggling the most. Homa coming back to Twitter, and I said this to him. I said it's gonna make you shoot a 67. You just need to relax.
He shot the low round on the course on Sunday.
Yeah, of course. And I think out of the two, I think Homa's going to come back better. Thomas, I don't know, but you know, the Grazerman really saved some people on Sunday. But the Super Chalk, like Eckroat,
I played him too.
Brutal. Brutal. Cole, brutal. Grazerman, for the most part, brutal. Tagala, I don't know.
I avoided that one, but he's
shoulder
hurt.
injury. Some of the course said just avoid him, and they were right. But it was a week for playing low-owned stuff. I mean, everyone thought Aubert tired. No one playing Keegan, no one playing Scott, and that's ball game right there.
Yeah,
Hadwin for uniqueness. Yeah, Hadwin. I mean, it just if you want to see the separation between top tier talent and then those guys, it was loud and clear last week. And Hideki.
Yeah,
even though he was 8% in the 4-4-4-4.
Yeah.
The Hideki withdrawal was tough. McIntyre was tough. I thought I could get an edge by that. Nope.
Yeah.
And then you got Hideki this week at what? He's starting at -7. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, is anyone going to play this dude?
I'm not. I feel your pain, Nick. I avoided the Hadwin, but I had hit plenty of landmines myself, mainly Eric Cole and Austin Eckroat, who we already talked about. We're doing BMW.
You know, because you know what? Aubert's back. Brian hates Aubert, but I think that,
Brian
is going to be the best golfers on tour for the next 20 years.
Yeah, Brian had to send me $50 on Sunday evening because he bet me that Aubert would stink, and he put his own money behind it. And I said Aubert might win the tournament.
Awesome.
Yeah, and so that was an easy cash for me. I thought it was an awesome event, though. Like, I really enjoyed the golf course on television. Like I said, I didn't watch any of it Thursday, Friday, Saturday, but I watched for like 6 hours on Sunday and was totally engaged. It was a fun golf course, and I know it's not on the immediate BMW schedule. A true poo-poo in the potty situation from Aberg. Listen, here's my thing with guys that don't win. Particularly earlier in their career, because I have fended off a lot of Xander hate in my day. I have done full-length podcasts explaining to people that Xander Schauffele's really freaking good at golf, and it's only a matter of time before the top comes off on him. And now we think of this guy as one of the biggest killers in the sport. So let's exercise some patience with Ludwig. This is his first full year on the PGA Tour. He finished freaking second at the Masters. This is his 8th top 10 of the season.
Yeah.
The guy's
most
25 years
swing on
old.
tour, the most swing I like the most.
Yeah. Ludwig's going to be fine. Okay. Ludwig's going to be just
I think
fine.
Brian's going to lose this argument over the next 10 years.
Exactly. Put it this way. I think if you're out on Ludwig, you're going to be on the wrong side of history long term. So you don't have to hop on the bandwagon now, but I would certainly consider. I would not do a long-term short on the guy. Certainly not based on the data I'm seeing in the eye test either. You know, it's also pretty aspirational of the guy. The guy picks his club, and it's probably 10, 15 seconds.
That's it.
At the ball's
ball game.
I mean, he is,
and it's beautiful too.
He is so decisive. He is so ready to go out there. And it works for him. I think he's got some short game stuff that he needs to fine tune a little bit. I've heard that he's got a bit of a knee situation, a meniscus situation that he needs to take care of over the off season. But as disappointed as I was in the Ludwig outright not coming through for me, I think he will. I'm going to say he wins twice on the PGA Tour next year and contends again at least one, if not two, of the majors.
I agree.
Yeah. I don't know if I'd say he wins a major next year, but he will win. I'm going to say multiple times on the PGA Tour next year, including a signature event. And I'm going to say that he's going to have at least 2 top 10s in majors as well. So
outside of Aubert and Hovland, I expected so much more from last week. I put everything into Hovland. That was my stake. That was my stake in the ground was Hovland. I thought he'd carry momentum from the previous week in Memphis. It didn't happen. Right from the get-go, first tee shot on the par 5 downhill. I was like, ugh, it's going to be a long week. The two guys that showed me the most, outside, Keegan Scott aside, the two guys that showed me the most were Aubert and I think Sam Burns. Sam Burns continues to play better and better. And I think that outside of a Keegan luck ball on the par 5, I think that Burns would probably be in a playoff with Aubert.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think necessarily that ends this week. But let's talk about Atlanta.
East Lake, baby. Brand new golf course. Kind of a bit of a makeover this one received.
It's always been tough. It's always been a true test of golf. Firm, fast greens, tough rough, ball striking, hot conditions. Xander kind of owns this place. What talk about the changes this week, what you overall think of East Lake, and then we'll get into the field.
Well, I think the changes were necessary and definitely a net positive. The architect who made the changes is an architect named Andrew Green, who I've been on Zoom calls with before. He restored my home golf course. And the way that East Lake looks aesthetically, at least in terms of the bunkering, is very similar to the golf course that I play most of my golf at in the summer in New York. So I'm very familiar with his work, with the way that he kind of his design philosophy and the way that he takes championship golf courses and restores them to the architect's original intent while not really compromising the challenge of the golf course. He did a wonderful restoration at Oak Hill. He did a bit. Yeah. He did a wonderful restoration at Inverness. He did
Everyone's trying to figure out your home course now.
He did a wonderful restoration. You can read between the lines on some of it. He did a wonderful restoration at Congressional. Okay. So Andrew Green is is incredibly talented at
Yeah, we're not live. We edit out the best parts, Trevor Bryan. So,
but the point is, the number one thing that I would say about this restoration is, Nick, I do, but I'm not going to bore the listeners with that. The number one thing that I would say about the restoration is they had basically 10 months to create an entirely new golf course. Okay. And we saw this earlier this year at Colonial, where when you have only 10 months to basically create entirely new greens, the greens are going to be incredibly firm because it takes years for greens to really settle. I just played a golf course over the weekend that had that had greens that were a year old. Okay. So even older than East Length. And they still haven't really settled because they're just really, really firm because, you know, a bunch of golf balls continuously hitting the green over and over and over again. It's going to soften up the greens over time. But when you build these brand new greens, you build them as firm as possible. Now I'm fucking insecure about my
you got
hand
giant
there,
hands.
Sam.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we saw this. I don't know. Do you remember Colonial?
Yeah.
Just watching how firm these giant bounces off the greens and guys, you know, Colonial was like 1 at 8 under this year because guys couldn't control their spin out of Bermuda rough. So the number one thing that I would say about Eastlake, you know, I don't know if the scoring's going to be like that much harder because they changed a long par 4 to a short par 5. So that's just, you can shave off maybe 4 strokes off the scoring to par right there.
Right.
But the golf course got harder. And the fact that the greens are brand new, it is going to place a crazy, crazy emphasis this week on distance control with your irons. And that's going to create a trickle down effect to hitting fairways because you cannot control spin out of Bermuda rough. So you need to find the fairways here. And if you don't find the fairways, you will not be hitting many greens in regulation.
So like last week, for instance, scrambling was important. A lot of these guys, even on the par 5s, they ended up the bunker on approach. And whatever your 6-man roster was, you knew the guys who couldn't execute. You just knew. You knew their next shot would end up 13 feet to the hole or 3 feet or off the green, right? And I think that's the same way this week. You got to be adept at your short game. And all the love, Andy. Ghost Jam's worried about his hand comment to you.
I was insecure about my hand size, but appreciate the sentiment, GJ. Okay. So yeah, I mean, I think that this year it's going to be, again, the fact that we have a extra par 5, par 71 is going to help with the score to par a little bit, but I have a heavy weight on far more than the normal weight that I would on finding the fairway, because I think it's going to be very difficult to hit greens out of Bermuda rough, and precision approach play.
Well,
so we can,
look at Schauffele. I mean, the most impeccable record here, maybe ahead of Rory. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I mean, this is an elite test of golf.
Yeah. And I think it's, listen, I still think that this event should be played in New York or California or Chicago, rotate around those places. But
no, I like the fact when players are hit with a course they're unfamiliar with.
Yeah.
Or quirkiness like last week with elevation or length or green speed. I mean, it frustrates them. And, you know, I think it adds a different element.
Yes. No, I should rephrase because I
agree with you. I agree with you. I think you should change it up every year.
Yeah. So, but with that being said, this is the most excited I've been for Eastlake in quite some time, because I think that the changes that Andrew Green made are going to make the golf course play a lot more interesting. I could run through a lot of the nitty gritty of like why the golf course is going to play more interesting, but I think it'd be more informative for folks for us to get into our picks.
When I hit my elbow on the desk, this sign lights up and it's not plugged in. I can't figure it out.
The RPS sign.
Well, this is the decision's at the top, right? So for those who don't know, most do know, part of your FedEx Cup standings throughout the year align you to how you're starting this tournament under par. Scheffler -10 in first, and then Xander Schauffele -8 in second, right? I would be afraid of spotting Scheffler 10 strokes back, and now you're spotting him 10 strokes under par. Mm-hmm. I think the one holdback for everyone will be his performance last week.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And Xander's dominance here, and Xander's dominance in this year and recently, and Xander's almost win last week. He didn't look out of place.
Yes.
So that's the decision to be made. Do one of those two guys win?
Unequivocally, in my opinion.
You think
I do. And I ran a model, and those two players, in my opinion, account for 80% of the win equity in this field. So it's 80-20. I think there's a 20% chance that somebody else could win. But those two players account for 80% of the win equity by my numbers. And we could talk about the betting numbers versus the DFS pricing and stuff like that, because I actually, I think Scheffler is undervalued in the betting market personally.
Well, he's plus 115 to win, right?
Yeah, I have Scheffler as an implied win probability.
To win, not have the lowest score, but
to win. I have Scheffler as an implied win probability, closer to like 57%. So I mean, I'm gonna place a pretty hefty wager on Scheffler plus 115 to win. But you know, the Xander Scheffler decision is interesting this week, and I think that Xander will be higher owned because
100%. I agree.
Because Xander is
1,200.
11K versus 12.2. Xander has phenomenal course history at Eastlake, although I think that might be a bit of a red herring because he's going to see a very different golf course this year.
Right.
He's playing better than Scotty Scheffler.
Correct.
And Scotty Scheffler, not only is he playing better than Scotty Scheffler's coming off his worst performance of the year, and he has good, not great course history at Eastlake, right? So those are three different things that are in Xander's bucket. Cheaper, better course history, better recent form.
But and if you talk to people who are on the ground, Keith, for instance, Xander, his bounce right now, just the way his mannerisms, how he feels, his energy is much higher than Scheffler.
Right.
And Scheffler looked really frustrated. So there's four really good reasons, but that makes it a perfect time for Scheffler, right?
I listen, I haven't made a decision in DFS yet. I understand, you know, Scheffler at 12K is a lot. But I would just warn people, they're big time, like travelers week after the US Open vibes, where it's just like, oh yeah, Scheffler's not dominant. Yeah, he is. Okay. 4 rounds of golf where he was clearly affected by the altitude. I'm not saying it's not nothing, but I would just say beware of the pendulum swinging too far back in the favor of Xander being better than Scotty, because he's gonna come
in and want to smash.
Because every time we start saying that Xander's better than Scotty, we were doing this before the Olympics too. Remember
Scotty
when
wins a gold medal?
Right. Remember when Xander kicked Scotty's ass at the Open Championship, and we were like, okay, the gap is closed between Xander and Scotty. Scotty came right back and won the Olympic gold medal. The other piece with Scotty too is, and I know his course history hasn't been perfect at this golf course, just like, you know, it wasn't perfect at the Heritage when he won. It wasn't perfect at TPC River Highlands when he won. It wasn't.
He's a different golfer this year.
Yeah, he's a different golfer this year. And by the way, we're back on a golf course with clearly defined hazards. Okay. You want to place, and one of my comp courses this week is Muirfield Village because of the firm greens and the high miss fairway penalty. And the same thing I talked about at Le Golf National, which I think is another good comparative course this week for Eastlake. You want to play Scotty Scheffler on golf courses with clearly defined hazards where he knows where to hit it and he knows how far his golf ball is traveling. And he gains a significant advantage via his driving accuracy and his elite approach play. We are talking about a golf course where there is going to be a severe penalty for missing the fairway. There's going to be a distinct challenge in hitting the green in regulation out of Bermuda rough, and players are inevitably going to miss greens. Okay, give me the guy who is more accurate than Xander Schauffele, a better approach player than Xander Schauffele, has a better short game than Xander Schauffele, is better out of Bermuda rough than Xander Schauffele, is a better long iron player out of Bermuda rough than Xander Schauffele, is a better chipper out of Bermuda grass than Xander Schauffele. Check, Scotty. So that's not necessarily to say that Scotty is a slam dunk over Xander this week. I understand that Xander's playing better and cheaper. I would just be careful of, I think the gap, I would be careful of the pendulum swinging too far in the Xander's the slam dunk play this week, because I don't think he is.
No, and the incentive for Scheffler to finish this season off and win this to solidify him being the best on tour this year.
Thanks, Doug.
Yeah, thank you, Rick Gill, too. I wonder who the other guy was. Kirshner?
My burner.
Yeah. Landy Ack. Make sure you watch these guys. No, the decision, the starting point last week was mostly every lineup was one of Scotty or Xander. A lot of them had both.
Yeah. Or you're a donkey like me who just plays Hovland and Cantlay in every lineup and Ludwig. But
right. You can build lineups this week with both. I don't know if that's the most.
That's tough, man.
If that's the most intelligent route.
Doable. I'm not going to say it's not doable. No. And I haven't tried.
But these scrubs are going to have to perform for you, and they didn't last week. Cole, Grazerman, Hadwin. That was the assumption that one of those guys would be up there.
Yeah. Put it this way. If you're playing Xander and Scheffler in the same lineup, you're playing two guys that are close to the men, right? So I really, you're going to have to, I like Hoagie this week. He's one of the best iron players in the field. He's 6,100. I mean,
Kirk still did great last week. I mean, Kirk was, again, solid tee to green. He did his part. But, it's just, there's not a lot of room for error this week. And I'm not sure I can take shots on Thomas's. I'm not sure I can take shots on even, I guarantee you a Hovland model checks out. That Hovland applied to this course, Hovland is going to be someone that stands out.
It does.
I've not read your article, but that's my assumption.
Hovland is third in my model after Scotty and Xander.
And then he's $4,000 cheaper than Scotty, and he axed the fuck out of me last week.
Yeah, and he's I'm going to play Hovland because I'm riding this thing with this guy to the bitter end, and I'm 1 for 2 with the guy. It worked out wonderfully at FedEx and then not so much last week. Do you think this week is tougher, easier for DFS? Nah, I don't know. That's a good question. What do you think? I don't think I'm going to have the same exposure. I think I'm going to play the big single entries and maybe a 3 max. This isn't a week where I'm going to build 20 plus lineups.
Your salary floor and salary ceiling need to be not 50,000. And if you really want to get cute, like last week it'd pan out. You didn't play a Scheffler or a Schauffele. You want to run that back? You want to go to Matsuyama at -7, withdraw? No one's going to play that dude. Was that just I'll take my third place spot, get to Atlanta, and let's go? You know, I don't know, Brian. I mean, it's going to be interesting the approach you take here to start your lineups, because I don't see many people not starting with one player starting with SCH. So
and here's what I would say to that. I will be the first person to ride for hashtag leverage. I fade Scotty and Xander all the time. I think it's heavily unwise to not play one of them this week, because I think that they account for 80% of the win equity in this field. Here's the thing with Scheffler, and this is why I think plus 115 is a really good betting number. Scheffler wins 33% of the events that he enters this season, including major championships, full field events, signature fields. He wins 30. He wins 1 in every 3 that he enters, and he finishes top 5 in 2 of every 3 that he enters. Okay.
Right.
Now he's starting with over a 5-stroke advantage over 25 of 30 guys in this entire field.
That's insane.
Okay. And, he has a 2-stroke advantage over Xander. He has a 3-stroke advantage over Hideki, and he has a 4-stroke advantage over Keegan and Ludwig. None of these guys can beat Scotty when they start at 0. Okay. Before you bet Rory McIlroy at 20-1 or whatever to come back and beat Scotty Scheffler, Rory McIlroy and Scotty Scheffler have played in the same tournament 17 times this year. Rory McIlroy has beat Scotty Scheffler in a golf tournament when they both start at 0 twice in 17 chances. And now you think that he's going to come back from 6 and beat him when he's done it twice in 17
beat
chances.
on just gross overall score.
It does. I think, we're betting Scotty Scheffler is plus 350. I made my odds. I have Scotty's true odds to me are like minus 150 to win this event. Scotty's plus 350 to win a signature event with 70 people where they all start at 0. You're telling me he's plus money to win a 30-man field where he's starting at 10. I mean, it's a good number. I think there's a lot of value in that number. I think it's one of the easier bets, in my opinion, of the season that I've encountered. I'm not going to Vic lap like a plus 115 bet getting home from me. But I think it's a bad number on him personally.
I forget who started first last year. Was it Schauffele?
No, it was Scheffler. And he lost that quickly, right? Yeah, he didn't play well. And to give some fair stats, the guy that starts at minus 10, okay, we've had this format for 5 years, and the guy that starts at minus 10 has won 2 out of the 5 years. Okay. Yeah. So Patrick Cantlay and Dustin Johnson. Now, the third year, another time Victor Hovland, who was in the Xander spot at minus 8, has won. And then the other 2 times, Rory McIlroy has started at minus 4 and minus 5 and come back and won. So if you're talking about betting to actually win this golf tournament, there's 10 guys that can actually win. Okay. Nobody's come back from lower than minus 4. It's not happening. And the guys at the top this year in Xander and Scheffler are better than the guys at the top than there have been in previous years. This top 2 of Xander and Scotty
by far the best golfers
is the best top 2 that we've seen getting this advantage in the 5 years of this tournament. The gap between them in strokes gained is greater than the other top 2s we've seen in the last 5 years. Okay. And for Rory McIlroy to come back at minus 4 and minus 5, it took a Herculean effort from one of the 20 greatest golfers of all time to come back and win this event. So
I think Rory could make a case for chasing one of them if one of them wasn't up top, but not both. That's a pretty big firewall.
Yeah, you can play Rory in DFS. Rory may shoot the low gross score and play great, but I'm just saying, do not bet anyone to win this actual tournament. Like, I think Sung JM is a great bet to shoot low score. I like Russell Henley to shoot low score. I like Victor Hovland to shoot low score. If we're talking to win this tournament, nobody is winning this tournament under that is starting below -4. And that's generous, in my opinion. Generous.
From course history perspective, it's Xander, Rory. It's, I'm gonna back talk myself or walk myself back here, but Justin Thomas is going to create some.
He's got really good history.
He's never not finished a top 10 out of multiple starts here.
Yeah,
he had the minus. Well, did he match Homa on 67 or did he get a 68 on Sunday?
He played well on Sunday. Yeah,
it was a great round.
JT played well on Sunday. Homa played well on Sunday.
Now you got a sub 7K Thomas at a course history, top 3. Played well Sunday in Colorado, and he's $6,800.
Yeah.
I love your M call. I love that.
Yeah, definitely short-term memory. I'm gonna have to. I think the key to DFS is short-term memory loss. Even though Thomas was really rough for me last week, I haven't crossed him off yet.
Rick, that's the variance part of golf, is that you can get to a final score in so many different ways. And so you'll see guys who don't finish great, but are still optimal because streaks, eagles, Chris Kirk ace, all 4 under par. So there's the bonus angle that makes golf really difficult, is that even if you have someone who finishes top 5, someone down lower got there with more points.
Yeah,
but you want guys who can get the ball to the hole this week and are just known to be, tee to green, good ball strikers, and can score. Like Im is a great example. It's you mentioned it, Andy, right? Im had a great week last week. I thought that for most of Thursday, I was like, he's going to run away with this shit. Mm-hmm. But Im's a great example at 7,500. Like one of the most talented golfers on earth, great all-around golfer, great iron player.
Has played well at East Lake.
Great around the green. Yeah, I mean the $7,500. That's almost a lock to me at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm totally with you. That's a core consideration, strong core consideration. Strong. Do you think enough people are going to play this week? Do you think there's going to be enough interest this week?
Man, they didn't fill the 4-4-4-4 last week.
I felt that I don't know. I felt like the playoff DFS has been, the energy hasn't been what it understandably so. I mean, this is the best time of year to go outside. I don't watch much golf on the weekends this time of year either. So I think a lot of people are on vacation, playing golf, spending time with their families. But I don't know. I'm going to play DFS this week, but I don't know if my exposure will be what it normally is. Plus, we got football in a week.
You got college football coming, and then football next week.
Yeah, are you a college football DFS guy?
Not much.
Yeah,
but our team's really good. So no, not my heart's in NFL. That starts next week.
My heart's in NFL too, and I've almost finished with my NFL model. I run a really successful NFL model. Have had done very well in NFL in the past as well. What's your biggest, do you have a hot NFL take heading into the season?
Well, we've been drafting best ball all summer. Like we're doing live shows, I think all 5 days this week for best ball.
Give me because I'm not big into the best ball streets. I'm not a big NFL DFS player. I basically create my model, which I think hopefully this could be of value to RPS, is I'm very good at NFL betting futures and betting NFL against the spread. So I'm thinking more like
futures,
big picture team stuff.
Yeah. We've talked about it. There was a Chargers line. I don't know if it's still out there. I think it was 8.5 wins and the under was plus money. And I thought the Chargers stink. New England stinks. New England second toughest schedule. I think I love my Bengals this year. Let me just put it that way. Listen, we can't wait to dissect next week. We can't wait till the first Thursday game next week for Showdown. And we can't wait for the New England Patriots to absolutely lay an egg in Cincinnati.
They're terrible. I mean, they just traded away Juju. I like the Bengals too this year, by the way.
Yeah. Jamar Chase is going to sign in the next 24 hours.
Yeah. No,
we sidetracked to football. Look at Ghost Champ's going to be excited. He's always in the NFL best ball chat.
Yeah. I think I'll give you my hot take. I think the Jets are Super Bowl viable. You think that's crazy? I think they have.
In fact, John Sarabian, JSU.
Yeah. My numbers love that.
He bet plus money on them winning the division.
I like that bet. I do.
Yeah. Buffalo's got question marks. Miami's a fucking wagon. But if Aaron Rodgers stays healthy, the Jets are pretty good.
I'm big on the Jets. I'll have significant Jets. I'll have significant Packers positions who I know are kind of buzzy.
You imagine the Patriots having to play the Jets twice, the Bills twice, and the Dolphins twice.
I think
they're out. Then their other schedule is playing the Bengals, the 49ers, the Texans. It's insane. They're going to get killed. And Drake May's the second best quarterback of the team. Jets nuke week 1. Is Kirshner a Jets fan or is he a Giants fan?
He's got
to be a Jets fan.
He's a Bills fan. No, he's not. I like to give him. I'm a Bills. I am a Giants fan, but the Bills are kind of my second favorite team because I think the Giants are going to be the second.
I've drafted more Ray Davis than probably anyone. Well, except Jermaine Burton. Ray Davis, Buffalo Bills. That's your play of the year.
Brian's Rob Lowe in the NFL hat. He just roots for leagues like all the live golf stands.
Is he willing to take action from the chat?
Do you know what the odds are that the Jets don't make the Super Bowl? Like you want to give me. Okay, so the Jets to make the Super Bowl are like 16-1. Do you want to bet the no on a 16-1 bet? Like obviously they're not favored to make the Super Bowl. It's a long shot hot take. So anyway, anyone else you want to?
No, I mean, I think that Wyndham Clark still decently impressive last week. I'm probably going to gamble hard on Thomas and M and perhaps part of a core. I'm not sure I have the guts to leave a Schauffele or Scheffler out of the winner. I love that Hovland fits the model, but I think he hurt me too badly last week. When the doctor pointed to me and said, "Where did Victor Hovland hurt you?" I said, "Right here, right in my heart." I saw too much of it. I don't think he can play like he did last week off the tee and be successful. I want him to. I want him to make a ton of birdies. I want him to make a run. I want him to do what Aubert did last week. He probably will. But, yeah.
Who's your winner? I think if it's not Xander or Scheffler, you're getting cute.
No, I was only going to pick between the two.
Yeah.
Schauffele's playing so goddamn well. I love the 4 buckets that you talked about.
No,
Do you want to think that Scheffler's going to be frustrated this week still?
Yeah.
And with the, his putter wasn't, again, fantastic. Schauffele owns this place.
Mm-hmm.
I would have to say Xander. I mean, I'm just going to say it. I just have to say.
No, I was very kind of pro Scheffler this show. And I don't want that to be mistaken for not being totally terrified or underestimating Xander Schauffele. I'm going to still roll with Scheffler.
Okay.
But the margin is close between those guys. And I'd be pretty surprised.
You said Keegan Bradley.
So let me ask you this question. What? If a player that isn't Xander or Scotty Actually, it's more fun to do it this way. Who shoots the lowest score?
That's a good question. I'm going to say someone like M.
Yeah, it's a good call.
I was going to say Aubert, which also viable. I think 5 strokes against those guys is a little much. If he was at 7, not that makes a huge difference, but someone like M is going to scorch. What about you? Who's your lowest 72 hole?
I'm going to say Hovland. I bet Hovland 20-1 low score. But it
would make perfect sense in this golf season for that to happen.
Yeah, the other bet that I like Tommy, who we didn't talk about. I like Tommy Fleetwood to play well.
Yep. He was great last week.
I like Sung Jae.
Let me give you the other one that I think may have the low round.
I don't mind Finau here either, or Russell Henley for what it's worth.
No, Rusty was great last week. Fleetwood was good last week. Finau was decent last week.
Yeah.
The other one that could contend based on your -4 min model, right? And could have the lowest score, 72 holes. I said M, but Sam Burns.
Yep. Totally agree.
Burns in Thomas Core.
It's a big Huey Mack. Yeah, it's a big Huey Mack play this week. He's high on Sammy Burns, slamming Sammy.
By the way, thank you for Huey Mack for jumping in last week from work, from his boss's office.
Huey Mack's at the U.S. Open. He's in like the Morgan Stanley Bank of America suite right now at Flushing Meadow.
What's he doing? Just hanging out?
He's playing DFS tennis and getting blackout on a Monday afternoon.
Yeah.
The Huey Mack life. He's betting the Marcel Seam. That's a golfer. He's betting the Robbie Shelton match. I don't know. I haven't.
Bobby Shells plays tennis now.
I love tennis. Like I love watching tennis. I just don't know enough. I don't know enough to bet it. I'm really particular about only betting things that I could run a model for, and I don't know how to run a tennis
Always
model.
remove Canadian tennis players from your model. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, but I can't wait to watch the U.S. Open this week, and won't see you next week. There's no golf tournament. I'll be in Hawaii, Flex.
Yeah, it's football. It's football. Who are you going to Hawaii with?
My girlfriend, who I need to remind that I exist after spending the last 6 weeks in New York playing golf every day while she's getting her medical degree.
Yeah, I was going to wonder about that. I was like, have you seen her in 6 weeks? She's
so she's in her final year of medical school in clinics for 8 hours a day, getting her medical degree. And so, her being the absolute angel that she is, said, listen, I know you love to play golf in the Northeast. I know all of your friends are in New York. I know your family's in New York. I know you belong to a golf club in New York. I'm not going to make you come to Davis, California and sit at home while I'm in a hospital 8 hours a day. Go to New York for the summer and live your best life. And that's what I have done. But she gets a break, a vacation from her final year of vet school. So we're off to Hawaii.
There you go.
I'm going to play some golf there too. They get some great golf in Hawaii. I will say that.
I've noticed Brian Kirscher's been in Davis, California for 6 weeks. Did you find that a coincidence? Oh, sorry. You didn't. Sorry. He kept that. He said to keep that quiet.
Pepe
he would
Silva,
never.
That's a keeper. You're right. Big time keeper.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you, Rick Gill. Rick Gill seems like a really nice person.
He does.
Bing bong. All right. Good show.
All right, buddy. Later.
We'll win this week.
Okay. Sweet. Bye.